त्यस्तै यस कार्यक्रमलाई सफल पार्न सहयोग गर्नुहुने मेरा पार्टनर अर्गनाइजेसनहरू म्याक्सवेल, मिडास, माउन्टेन टेलिभिजन, बिजनेस प्लस टेलिभिजन र यहाँ उपस्थित सम्पूर्ण महानुभावहरूप्रति म आयोजकको तर्फबाट, टाइम्स पब्लिकेसनको तर्फबाट र पुरुषोत्तम दाहालको तर्फबाट न्यानो अभिवादन टक्र्याउन चाहन्छु। वास्तवमा यो आजको यस कार्यक्रम सञ्चालन गर्ने सन्दर्भमा हामीले धेरै खालका चाहिँ प्लानिङहरू गऱ्यौँ। गर्ने सन्दर्भमा धेरै खालका चुनौतीहरू पनि आए र विभिन्न व्यक्तिहरूसँगको फिडब्याक साथसाथै आजको कार्यक्रम यस अवस्थामा एउटा न्यू इयरको इभ भएको कारणले पनि यसरी हामीले सञ्चालनको यो अन्तिम क्षणमा आइपुग्दै यस कार्यक्रम सुरु गरिरहेका छौँ र यो कार्यक्रममा हामीले प्रमुख अतिथिको रूपमा शिक्षा मन्त्रीलाई बोलाएका थियौँ। विशेष कारणवश उहाँको क्याबिनेटको कारणले आउट अफ भ्याली भएको कारणले उहाँ उपस्थित हुन सक्नु भएन। यस कार्यक्रमलाई हामीले विशेष गरी तपाईँको शिक्षा क्षेत्रका आजको दिनमा प्राइभेट शिक्षासँग, स्कुल विद्यालयहरूसँग, पब्लिकेसनहरूसँग अथवा प्राइभेट एजुकेसन अबको स्थितिमा के कुन ढाँचाबाट जान्छ, सङ्घीयताको कुरा आइरहेको छ। यी सबै खालका चुनौतीहरू अब नयाँ वर्ष लाग्दै गर्दा, यो वर्षलाई हामीले अन्त्य गर्दै गर्दाखेरि के कसरी जान्छौँ भन्ने हिसाबले पनि एउटा चाहिँ कसै ढुङ्गा साबित होस् भन्ने हिसाबले पनि यो कार्यक्रम हामीले सञ्चालन गर्न चाहेका थियौँ। त्यही सन्दर्भमा आजको दिनमा हामी यहाँ उपस्थित भएका छौँ। यहाँहरूको उपस्थितिले जे जस्तो भए पनि हामीले एक्सपेक्ट गरे भन्दा अलिकति कम उपस्थिति भए तापनि, सोचे भन्दा अलिकति ढिला हामीले प्रोग्राम सुरु गर्न गए तापनि यहाँहरू जे जति आइदिनु भयो, हामी आयोजकको तर्फबाट अत्यन्तै खुसी छौँ। यस कार्यक्रमलाई अन्त्यसम्म बसेर सफल बनाइदिनुहुन्छ भन्ने पनि विश्वास मानेका छौँ। यहाँ उपस्थित हुनुभएका जस्तै किनोट स्पिकर रोय एडर्सन युकेबाट उपस्थित हुनुभएको छ, त्यस्तै अरू डाक्टर लक्ष्मण गेवाली, प्याप्सन एन्ड प्याप्सनका विभिन्न पदाधिकारी महानुभावहरू र यहाँ उपस्थित हुनुभएका सम्पूर्ण अर्गनाइजेसनहरू, मिडियाबाट आउनु पाल्नुभएका सम्पूर्ण साथीहरू लगायत उपस्थित सम्पूर्ण महानुभावहरूलाई हार्दिक स्वागत गर्न चाहन्छु। यति भन्दै बिदा चाहन्छु र न्यू इयर इभ र नयाँ वर्षको पनि यहाँहरू सम्पूर्णलाई शुभकामना व्यक्त गर्दै बिदा चाहन्छु। धन्यवाद।
My name is Roy Anderson and I come from England. Please excuse me, I have a little cold today, but I want to tell you how much I love your country. And what happened was that 3 months ago, my daughter asked me to come to Nepal because she wanted to learn to meditate. And I just come back from teacher training in Algeria, and I thought, well, yes, okay, I'll come. Then the next day, her boss cancelled the holiday and she couldn't come. But something happened. I felt I had to come. I couldn't understand why. I didn't know anybody, but I had to come. And I bought my ticket, and I came, and I've been so deeply happy with everybody I've met here. And since I've been here, I've given many lectures in Kathmandu, Pokhara, Dang, and I took a trip to the Salokan because I wanted to see what real children were like. But also I met parents, because parents are the key to education, and I'll explain why in a very short time. But also I met children who had never been to school. These children had never been to school, principally because their parents had never been to school, and they didn't understand why their children needed an education. And because of the orphanages I met, I've created this organization, Everest Orphanage Foundation, that is now being registered. We hope to build an orphanage in the Salokan to help these children. Before I tell you about that, I want to tell you a story. It's a story about a boy, just a normal boy, who went to school. He wasn't very happy in school because some children bullied him. But he had to go to school. He didn't understand what was happening. But every day he sat in the class and tried to smile. He thought if he smiled, the teacher would like him and give him a good mark. It didn't work. And when he was 17, the teacher said to him, "You're not clever enough for mathematics, so you should do arithmetic instead." And in the summertime, he sat in a huge examination hall and took his exams. 3 weeks later, an envelope came And he opened the envelope thinking he could be a doctor for children or an explorer and all the things he thought he could do after school. And when he opened it, he found that for English, he failed. For arithmetic, he failed. He failed history, science, geography, all the subjects the school put him into, he failed. After 12 years in school, he failed everything. Well, the only thing he could do was to go into a factory. So he got a job in a factory, a very boring job, where he had his processing information, just like this. And he thought, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. So he put a bag on his back and he hitchhiked around Europe. Then he realized he couldn't do this for the rest of his life. So the only thing he could do, the only people who wanted him was the army. So he joined the army. But in the army something happened. He had an experience that taught him if he had to do something, he could. And with that idea, he left the army and he went to school. In fact, when he sat the entrance exam, the school said to him, you can't even begin. You're so illiterate, you can't even start school. So he went into a bookshop and he bought a book, How to Learn English and How to Learn Mathematics. And with a new discipline, he taught himself. And 3 months later, he took the same entrance exam. This time, he came first in English and second in mathematics. The first time ever he'd achieved this. But then he knew that this was a chance he couldn't miss, and he had to take control. You see, when he was in school, he thought the teacher was kind of going to do the thinking for him. He didn't really understand that he had to do the thinking. Now he knew it was different. This time he made sure he always sat in the front seat, because he knew the closer he was to the teacher, the closer he could feel to the teacher's presence and try to get some understanding of what the teacher meant. At the end of the first year, he was a top student. When he left after 3 years of education, his qualifications were so high he could have got into a medical university. And that put a big question in his mind. How could he be so clever when he was 25 and so stupid when he was 17? Well, he did many things, and then finally he thought, I wonder if children still have the same problem. And found out that they do, and the school hadn't changed. So, of course, this is my story. I wrote this book, The Illusion of Education. This book explains why we do not teach children how to think in school. We process children today on an idea that developed 150 years ago. The need for a modern citizen in society based on the industrial era. And so we process children on the skills they display that they have learned from their family and their parents. And on those skills, we decide if they're going to be a manager or a worker. And that's all school requires of us. So I realized that what happens with teachers is they give information. They ask the students to look at a textbook, and then they evaluate how much the students have understood. And so the teacher marks them. And then lesson by lesson, the teacher decides who's clever and who's not clever. And the teacher doesn't really understand that it's how much of their responsibility, because they try to explain and the student doesn't understand. So they think this is something the student is born with. They're born with a limitation. It's not my fault. But because of my experiences, I wrote the first book ever that explains why intelligence is not genetically inherited. I studied genetics to do that. But then where does intelligence come from? So I studied neurology, how the brain works. And I proposed a new theory to what intelligence is, which I presented to the TU University in Kathmandu a couple of weeks ago. I call it the brain environment complex. And this explains why school performance is 2 things. It is just emotion and it's language, and that's all it is. I will explain to you why it's emotion. One of the things we don't understand is how sensitive we have to be when we're explaining information. And so I wrote this book called Mediation, and I'll show you shortly what that means. The problem is that really we are struggling in education. Universities, colleges, schools, kindergartens, we are competing. And because of this competition, the only thing we're really concerned about is how well our students perform in an exam. But the problem is this pressure is preventing us from helping the students to learn, to think. And this is a very serious problem because we are producing still the kind of citizen that was required 100 years ago, not the one will be required in their future. And so in this book, I explain the kind of problems our children will have when they are our age, because their world must be very different than we understand today. First book's so academic, and then I read this book, which is based on 30 years of teaching kids. Trying to teach them when they're climbing out of the window, crawling in the desk, throwing things around, and trying to control them, and teaching them how to learn. And in this book, 5 ways for better grades, ideas on how we can help them to do better in their performance. Well, we have a very limited time today, so if this machine works. So what is the biggest problem for teachers? When I travel around the world, as I do, they tell me our students don't want to learn. Why don't they want to learn? I'm not interested. This is something that we get all the time, especially with children now 14, 15 years of age. Hello? The problem is that we don't teach them responsibility for their learning. When they're children, we tell them what they must learn, and then suddenly we say to them, now it's up to you to show your initiative. They don't have that. So, school does not teach children how to think. We need to change this. We need to teach them how to think and how to reason better. Let's understand the life of our students today. You know, the world of students today's children is different than we were children. It's kind of a toxic world, it's a poisonous world. When I was in the Salocum, one mother said to me, my daughter couldn't remember what she'd learned in school. And I shouted at her, and she still couldn't remember. And then I explained to her mother this, and this is important for you all to know about. You know, in our brain we have a lot of brain cells, we call these neurons, you know this. But these neurons, they don't touch, there's a gap. We call this a synaptic gap. And what happens is, the electrical impulse moves along the neuron, is carried by a chemical to the next neuron, and around the circuit. Now there is one chemical, we had 50, there is one called cortisol. And cortisol is very important for you to know about, because it saves your life outside the classroom. But inside the classroom, it can kind of destroy all your opportunities. This is how it works. If you're outside in the street, you're looking at some clothes, or you're reading a magazine, or you're talking with friends, whatever you're doing, you're happy and you're concentrated. You're enjoying this activity. But then if a tiger comes around the corner, your mind will see the tiger and say, danger, and that signal will cause a chemical, cortisol, to rise, overproduce, and flood your brain, the frontal cortex, so you can't think clearly. That causes you to think about the danger, so then you run away and you save your life. If you didn't have cortisol, you'd still be reading the magazine while the tiger ate you. In the classroom, this is what happens. When a child thinks somebody's going to hurt them physically, or more importantly, others are going to laugh at them because their nose is too long, their clothes don't fit the right size, or the teacher shouts at them, cortisol rises. And when cortisol rises, the student thinks only about the fear. It's a very serious problem. And it's... When I was in Algeria, one teacher, she made this with the children. There are 2 problems here. I've already explained to you once that school performance is based on emotion and language. And language begins with the mother at home. And once the mother gives this to the child, she loses that ability for language, because this is what happens. The mother gives this to the child's happy. And the mother says, I want to talk to you. And the child, no, I'm doing this. And the mother says, put it down. And the child, no, it's just, rah! And the mother, oh, okay. You do that, and I'll have peace. And when she does that, she loses this link to develop language in the child. But also this moves to another problem, because this gives out non-thermal radiation. Now a child's skull is less dense than ours, so this radiation goes straight in, and it affects their brain activity. Children, they can't sleep at night time, they become frustrated, their behavior goes out of control, and they have memory problems. You know, in 2013, 12 days later, the plants surrounding this were dead. They were dead. The radiation killed the plants. So we must be aware of how this is affecting our children. Game addiction. And you know very well about this. You all experience it. I'm sure you do. It causes the child to become isolated. They don't want to go play with their friends. They don't want to go to dancing, they don't want to go to disco. All they want to do is to play the game, to go to the next level. It takes over their mind. In fact, it creates their mind. It creates an illusion of non-reality. They don't want to do their schoolwork because schoolwork is not fun. This is fun. This is the only thing that's fun in their life. It's such a really, really big problem. And the only thing I can suggest to parents is that if the child is young, like 5 or 6 years of age, take it off. Let them scream, let them go into a tantrum, but take it off them. You know, Microsoft said this shouldn't be given to children until they're 13 years of age. By that time, they develop social skills. When a child is older, it is a very, very serious problem. You know, 2 months ago, a boy in China at the age of 14 couldn't stop this addiction. So he cut off his hand. It's the only way he felt he could control this. It was that severe. But I have this, and I'd like you to learn this, and perhaps share it with your teachers and with your parents. Because this is the only way that I think we can control this. It is to say like this to the child. It's a game. It's a game. But it's also a business. You see, there is a man making a lot of money out of your mother and your father. Every time you get to the next level, you need a new game. So your mother, father, has to buy the game. And the businessman is very happy. He's so happy, he's causing you to think only about making money for him. And so you're forgetting about your life. You're forgetting about your friends. And you're forgetting about your school. And when you forget about your school, you won't get the job. So you won't be able to buy your own games. So take your control. 2 hours is great. 3 hours, no. 4 hours, no. You control this. It's the only way I think it works. What we tell you, we're going to send this to all of your friends, and we're going to put it on the internet so the whole world knows all of your secrets. Now the first test is that you wake up tomorrow morning at 4 o'clock and you do not sleep for 48 hours. The test becomes more and more constructive. Take over the child's mind. And on the 50th day, they're given a suicide test. Jumped off a 4-story building because she was told to do so. When I was in Algeria, a boy 14 killed himself. I was in Kathmandu 6 weeks ago, and I heard about a 17-year-old boy killed himself. In Russia, 130 children died last year because of this. Every country of the world, children are killing themselves by this game. India last year had the highest searches for blue whale. It's so dangerous. The only thing that we can do is to tell our children, don't go near it. The problem is, when you tell children, don't go, they want to go to find out why not to go, and then it's gone. So we have to teach them to say no. If their friends say, go and try it, go and try it, we must say to them, no, I don't want this in my life. It's very, very serious. Big project, NASA. They made an experiment. They did research on 1,600 students. And what they found out was before those children began school, at the age of 4 years old, they gave them questions. And the answers they gave were all genius quality. 98% gave genius quality answers. What happened was 5 years after school, that 98% dropped to 30%. 10 years after school, it dropped to 12%. And when all those children left school, only 2% still had a genius quality. So what is school doing wrong? Oh, by the way, you know, as I travel around the world, I have to explain to you that schools in every country are different. Every school has its own social, religious, cultural tradition. But the way that we process children is exactly the same. And it begins with the way the parents teach their children, and then how the teachers analyze that. I'll explain that to you in a moment. I was in a convention, and after 2 hours I stood up and I said to them, I've been here for 2 hours, and now I know what it's like to be a child in school, because I've understood nothing. You see, we teach what to learn, but we don't teach them how to learn. Because society never wanted children to be too clever. Society never wanted the general student, general citizen to think too much. So, how do we teach? Well, as I've explained to you, the teacher presents information. They ask the children to write through a textbook, or they talk to them, or they write something on the board, or give them a PowerPoint presentation. And then they ask the students to do questions. Then the teacher reads the questions and marks them. Lesson by lesson, the child is marked and evaluated through the whole school life. we are human beings. Teachers are human beings. And sometimes we get a little bit angry, sometimes we do things wrong. But it's important to understand that there are bad teachers and there are bad teaching methods. One of the problems, and I know, the problem is that when we are teaching, we do it again and again and again, and we kind of skip. Something that becomes so easy for us, we forget how we once had to learn. So it's very important for teachers to sometimes take a step back and remember how there's another kind too. When I was in Algeria, I got a telephone call from a young lady 1,000 miles away. Algeria is a very big country. She said to me, Roy, I'd like you to train me to be a teacher. And I said, well, I'm very sorry, but I can't come such a far distance. You can find an Arab teacher. And she said to me, no, I will never have an Arab teacher. And I said, why? And then this lady explained to me that she really wanted to be a teacher. Her heart really wanted to help children. And she saved up the money and she went to teacher training college. But then one instructor ridiculed her in front of the class and he said to her, you are so stupid, you are hopeless. She cried inside. She felt so ashamed. She left the college and she gave up her dream because of the behavior of one instructor. We've got to remember we are human beings. Didn't know what a fraction was. I didn't know what a fraction was. But I started my new school career, and fortunately, thank you God, I met a teacher like this. Now Mr. Baines was a very, very kind man. And the most important thing about this new maths teacher was that he was hard. And he taught me this. He would always say, it's easy. Whenever I thought something, he'd say to me, it's easy. Relax, it's fun. He told me it's fun. Kind, very gentle man, always kind of making me feel that he was holding my hand. His words says, you can do this. And I began to believe that I could do this. And because of that gentleman, because of that professional teacher, the boy who failed arithmetic at 17 got a 92% pass in applied mathematics at a pre-university level. Only because of that teacher. You see, what that teacher did, and this is what I say, is that if you want to open the mind, you must first open the heart. And that's what he did. He opened my heart. To school, they read to the child, they tell the child stories. They teach the child how to write and how to colour. You know, colouring is a very important part of writing. It's not just to go like that, it's to teach the child this dexterity. Because this is the beginning of learning to write. And so they take their child on adventures and excursions. What, when, how, why. Other parents who don't have that experience don't know that. They love their child, and all they're concerned about is the child is happy. And then when the child is 5 years old, they give the child to the school system and say, please help my child go to university and have a good life. You know, in 1994, then children come from lesser educated parents. Nothing to do with genetics, this is just social programming. Now this doesn't mean 30 million words, it means the mind of the child is more receptive to information. They're more able to concentrate. They're more relaxed to the movement of rules. And I'll explain to you exactly what that means in a moment. Now, you know, we are told that Finland has the best educational system in the world. But then in the 10 years ago, we made an examination of the way schools work in Scandinavia. And we found out that the schools, the teachers, the processing of the child in Finland, Norway, Sweden, Denmark is the same. It's not different. The difference is in the mother. Because when a child is born in Finland, the government immediately sends a box of books. Books on how to read stories and books to read stories. So the Finnish mother is reading stories to the child when she's 6 months old. In Denmark, that doesn't happen. In Denmark, the child is given the television or one of these to play with. And that's the difference, the development of language. But what then do stories do? As I explained to you, when I walked around the Solocum, every parent I could see, I stopped and I spoke. And I explained to them the importance of stories. because stories increase the number of words children know. They expand the child's experience of words. They improve their ability to understand ways to explain their mind and relate to the mind of others. And this is one of the big things about education. When the child sees the question, this flexibility in words helps them to produce a better and a different answer. Stories are the key to language. So you see, in school there are two languages. One is Napoli, or Urdu, or English, German, French, whatever it is. If the child is good at spelling, if the child understands how to construct a sentence, if the child has experience with storytelling so they can compose a good response, then they will be good in Napoli, history, geography, social science. The other language is mathematics. If the child understands the rules of mathematics, they'll be good in physics and chemistry because they'll be able to do the one in chemistry, so the grades go down. The teacher needs to understand the importance of correcting and developing the language structure in the student and not just accepting what they give. A country called Romania, which is near Germany, and we found out that there were so many children in orphanages with so few people that the children never got love and they never got language. And because they didn't get this love and this language, they had no intelligence. They were zero intelligence, but they could be developed. It's the story of Jamie Escalante. Now Jamie is no longer alive, but he lived in California. And unfortunately in America, some white-skinned people think they are superior and more intelligent than black-skinned and Mexican people. Of course, they're not. But in his state university, in his state, Jamie worked in one of the poorest schools. 60% of his kids never passed their exam. They went into gangs, prostitution, or racketing, cleaning jobs. They never made anything out of their lives. But he wanted to change this. His class of 15-year-old students were very hard. They had knives and they were very rough children. He wanted to give them a chance. He really wanted to change what society was doing for them. And he knew two things. He had to teach them language and he needed the parents. He knew he couldn't do it by himself. So he started teaching the students at 15 years old how to spell, what a preposition is, what an adverb is, how to use these, and how to write a composition, how to write a story. And he asked the parents to come. 5 parents came, the rest weren't interested. But there was one mother, very, very big, strong mother, who wanted to save her child. So she forced all the other mothers to come, and together with Jamie Escalante, they made sure these kids did their homework. Then they explained to the parents what they did in the lesson, and they worked together as a team. At the end of 2 years, they took their examination. They all passed. They all passed very highly. In fact, the problem was they passed too high because the school board thought they must have cheated. Kids from the school never do so well. So they made the children, the first time in American history, they made the whole class reset the examination. This time with one examinator behind every student. So if there were 30 kids, there were 30 examiners. They all did the same thing, they passed again. And it was so remarkable, they made a movie about it. In 1988, it is called Stand and Deliver. And Louis realized that children in primary school learn mathematics by remembering. 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 3, and so on like that. And he thought to himself, I want to teach these kids how to think. So he took a number of schools, and at the primary level, he took mathematics out of the syllabus. And instead, he taught them reasoning skills. Today we call it critical thinking. He taught them how to think. What he found out was that when those students then began secondary level education and had never had mathematics before, they performed better in mathematics than the kids who'd done it for 5 years because they'd been taught how to think. She was struggling, not this one, she was struggling to understand something. She couldn't understand it. You see, we all have our own mind. And so we translate what other people say to us into the way we understand it. So this is called language. We learn to understand each other. But a child with a textbook is dealing with one language that they may not be familiar with. And you know in Nepal, this is a very big problem because you have children who speak one language and they're being evaluated and assessed on a different language. So what I explain to them is this. If you don't understand, then select the words that you think are important and reconstruct your own sentence with those words. Then you'll understand it very easily. And a very, very good strategy to teach children. The children who are the cleverest are only those who are least confused. The children who are generally clever, generally not clever, really help, and you can do miracles with them. You know, I've come up with a new method of teaching. I call it the Anderson attitude method of teaching. Because to me, attitude is everything. Attitude is the respect, or the lack of respect, we give to others we must share our mind with. Unfortunately, in school, few children have really understand what this means. Now we have bad attitude. In England, it's a serious problem. It's a very serious problem. In fact, some teachers will refuse to go into a classroom because the attitude of the students is so dangerous. The problem is these kids are lost. They need a role model. We don't give them any of that anymore. Now, I want you to look at this drawing, this picture here. What's really happened? What's gone wrong? This girl, she lives in her own mind. She's not thinking about the class. She's not thinking about the poor teacher who took this picture. So she hits this girl. And this one, it's great, they start to fight. They're fighting. They should be learning. Now, I want to ask you to help. I'd like your help now. I want you all to be children. I want you all to make my life hell. I want you to talk among yourselves. Forget I'm here. Think about, oh, you like football, you like this. Oh, tonight we're going dancing. Please, do it. Please be bad students. Please talk. Thank you. Come on, I need this. No, don't hit him, just talk. Please be bad. I need this demonstration. Please talk to me. Make a lot of noise. Come on. Make noise at the back. You know it's always the bad. You know it's always the bad boys at the back. Come on, make a lot of noise for me. No, you can't be teachers. You're too mad here. As the world. As the world. Grace the Lord. Stage. Where everyone shall pay. Right? So, for what reason is this? I am a Jew. What about your eyes? Ears, senses, affections, fed by the same food, warmed and cooled by the same summers and winters, as a Christian is. If you prick, do you believe?
Well documented नभएको अवस्थामा well डेटाको एभाइलेबिलिटी नभएको अवस्थामा हामी कहिलेकाहीँ हाम्रो डिसिजन्सहरू चाहिँ हुनसक्छ कहिलेकाहीँ फरक पर्न सक्छ त्यही भएर हामीले चाहिँ अबको डिजिटाइज गर्ने क्रमलाई स्कुललाई डिजिटल गर्ने क्रममा चाहिँ हामी राइट डिसिजनको लागि पनि प्रिन्सिपल्स स्कुल लिडर्सहरूलाई डिसिजन मेकिङ प्रोसेसमा कसरी चाहिँ उहाँहरूलाई इन्गेज गर्न सकिन्छ इक्विप गर्न सकिन्छ भनेर प्रिन्सिपल एसोसिएसनको एउटा सोच लिएर आएको छ हामीले र त्यसलाई हामी चाहिँ अब अगाडि बढ्छौँ डेफिनेटली टिचर्स नो डाउट मलाई लाग्छ एउटा स्कुल्स एउटा अन्य बित्तिकै चारवटा मेजर पिलर्सहरू चारवटा हामीलाई लागेको चारवटा मेजर चाहिँ त्यसका के भन्ने स्टेक होल्डर्स टिचर्स स्टुडेन्ट्स प्यारेन्ट्स नो डाउट स्कुल म्यानेजमेन्ट र मलाई लाग्छ जबसम्म स्कुलको बिल्डिङ हुन्छ बिल्डिङ मात्रै रहेछ जो विद्यार्थी आउनुहुन्छ त्यहाँबाट विद्यालय भन्छ विद्यार्थी आएपछि विद्यालय होला र जो विद्यार्थीहरू आउनुहुन्छ टिचर्स चाहिन्छ टिचर्स नै तपाईँ हामी जतिजना छौँ हामी हरेक प्यारेन्ट्सको ड्रिमसँग काम गर्दैछौँ मलाई लाग्छ मभन्दा विद्वत वर्ग मेरो अगाडि हुनुहुन्छ तर हरेक विद्वत यहाँहरूले चलाइराख्नु भएको स्कुल्सहरूमा हेर्नुभयो भने हरेक प्यारेन्ट्सको ड्रिम यहाँहरूसँगको हरेक प्यारेन्ट्सले आफ्नो ड्रिमलाई यहाँहरूसँग ल्याएर चाहिँ सेयर गर्दै हुनुहुन्छ त्यो ड्रिम्स एचिभ गर्ने क्रममा यहाँहरू काम गर्दै हुनुहुन्छ र त्यसको प्रायोरिटीहरू भनेको मैले तमाम टिचर्सहरूलाई देखेँ त्यसैले निराशले यो पटक टिचर्सलाई इक्विप गर्नुपर्छ अब चाहिँ हरेकको हातमा भएको डिजिटल इक्विपमेन्ट मलाई लाग्छ मोबाइलले मोर देन इनफ छ आजको कन्टेक्स्टमा त्यो डिजिटल इक्विपमेन्ट नट ओन्ली द कम्युनिकेसन नट ओन्ली द सोसियल सर्फिङ बट अल्सो द एजुकेसन्स वाइ नट फर द एजुकेसन्स एउटा यस्तो हतियार बनाऊ जुन हतियार हामी एज अ टिचर्सको लागि जहाँ जहिले हामी टिचिङको लागि इक्विप हौँ भन्ने हिसाबले हामीले सायद मलाई लाग्छ टिचर्सको रिसोर्स मेटेरियल्स पहिलोपटक नेपालमा टिचिङ रिसोर्सेस चाहिँ अब एभाइलेबल गराएका छौँ टिचर्सलाई इम्पावर गर्ने कोसिस फाइनली हामी प्यारेन्ट्स अघि नै भने प्यारेन्ट्सका ड्रिमसँग हामी रिलेटेड छौँ प्यारेन्ट्सको ड्रिमलाई हामीले क्यारी अन गरिरहेछौँ र म सरहरूलाई म्यामलाई सबैलाई यो प्रेजेन्टेसन त मलाई लाग्छ मसँग भएको बाहिर इमेल छ भने म सबैलाई किन डिजिटल कुरा गर्दैछु सो डिजिटाइज नै सबैलाई सेन्ड गर्छु
चेन्ज भयो त टिभीको पछाडिपट्टिको आएर मान्छेको अगाडि टेलिभिजन चेन्ज भयो मान्छेको ध्यान पनि चेन्ज भइसकेको चेन्ज भयो यसले के गर्छ भने विशेष गरी धेरै खालका नन कम्युनिकेबल डिजिजहरू नसाले खालका अर्थात् हाम्रो लाइफस्टाइलसँग सम्बन्धित रोगहरू पनि योसँग सम्बन्धित छ तपाईँलाई भनौँ संसारभरि मान्छे के कारणले गर्दा मर्छन् त त्यो हामीले एनालाइसिस गऱ्यौँ भने 20वटा कारणहरूमध्ये 16वटा कारणहरू हाम्रो खानपान र जीवनशैलीसँग सम्बन्धित छ संसार हाम्रो जस्तो मुलुकमा त्यो 17-18 मात्र भन्न खोजेको जुन मुलुकहरू कम विकसित छन् अर्थात् विकासशील छन् त्यहाँ यस्तो प्रब्लम छन् त्यो हामीसँग मात्रै होइन हाम्रा बच्चाहरू पनि विशेष गरी यो अगाडिपट्टि आएर झुलिने चाहिँ अलि अगाडि चाहिँ 40 कटिसके पछाडि किसिमका रोगहरू लाग्छ 40 कटिसके पछाडि चाहिँ खानपान जीवनशैलीमा अलिकति सचेत हुनुपर्छ भन्ने किसिमको मेन्टालिटी थियो अहिले म देख्छु हाम्रो क्लिनिकमा कहिलेकाहीँ 11-12 वर्षको नानी बाबुहरू डायबिटिज भएर आउँछ विश्वास गर्नु 20 वर्ष नगटिकन कतिपय हाम्रो बहिनीहरूलाई चाहिँ थाइरोइडको प्रब्लम सुरु हुन्छ अब यो सबै कुरा हाम्रो मुलुकको समृद्धिसँग पनि जोडिएको छ र यसलाई कहाँबाट सुरु गर्ने त स्कुल सिक्ने सिकाउने एउटा प्लेटफर्म त्यहीबाट हामीले चाहिँ हाम्रो बच्चाहरूलाई हेल्थ न्युट्रिसनसँग सम्बन्धित कुराहरू सिकाउन सक्यो बुझाउन सक्यो उनीहरूको व्यापारमा परिवर्तन लिएर आउन सक्यो भने मात्रै भोलि यो मुलुकमा स्वस्थ नागरिक हुन सक्छ यो मैले भन्दै पर्दैन कुरालाई यति बेला बच्चा जन्मिँदै जङ्क फुडमा बिहे लिएर जन्मिन्छ अनि कहाँबाट सुरु नहोस् प्रब्लम तपाईँ काठमाडौँमा घुमेर हेर्नुहोस् मलाई लाग्छ स्कुलको जङ्गलको हाराहारीमा हस्पिटलहरू पुग्छ हरेक दिन हरेक महिना नयाँ नयाँ स्वास्थ्य संस्थाहरू हस्पिटलहरू क्लिनिकहरू खोलिरहेको छ कारण किन हरेक दिन विशेष गरी हाम्रो पुरानो र हाम्रो लाइफस्टाइलको कारणले गर्दा हामी रोगी बनिरहेका छौँ हामीले किनेर खाने खानाले हामीलाई खाइदिइरहेको छ अनि हाम्रो शरीरलाई त्यही खानाले खाएको हुनाले फेरि हामी गएर औषधि खानुपर्ने अवस्था छ पछाडिबाट एकजना साथी हुन्थ्यो खाना त औषधि हो नि औषधि त्यसरी खानुपर्ने तपाईँ रियलाइज गर्नुहोस् धेरैले बुझ्नु पनि भएको छ जुन दिनसम्म हामीले खानालाई औषधि जसरी औषधि मारेर त्यही लेभलमा चाहिँ सिरियस भएर भन्न खोजेको त्यसलाई त्यति प्राथमिकता दिएर खान्छौँ त्यो दिनसम्म तपाईँले कुनै पनि औषधि कुनै पनि रोगको लागि खानु
शैक्षिक प्रणाली कस्तो छ राज्यले के गरिरहेको छ त्यता पनि बुझ्छ करिकुलम कस्तो छ म त्यता पनि तपाईँहरूको यो आयोजना गर्ने आयोजकको रुचि के छ भने उद्देश्य के छ भने हामीलाई अभिभावकले विश्वास गरेर केटाकेटीहरू पढाइदिनु भएको छ ती नानी बाबुहरूलाई इफेक्टिभली कसरी हामीले पढाउने होइन सिकाउने होला यो काममा हामीले के गर्नु पर्ला पढाउने काम त धेरै गर्यौँ सिकाउने काममा हामी कसरी इफेक्टिभ हुनु पर्ला भन्ने सेरोफेरोमा यो आयोजना गरिएको छ र हामी यहाँ सहभागी हुनेहरू क्लासरुमबाट भाग्नेहरूको पङ्क्ति पनि चान्चुने छैन त्यसैले क्लासरुमभित्र त्यो टिचर ठिक छ जो स्किलफुल हुन्छ जसले विद्यार्थीको नेचर अनुसार उसको रुचि अनुसारको प्रेजेन्टेसन गर्छ त्यो मात्र टिचर छ त्यसैले टिचर त्यो कलाकार पनि हो तर टिचर वैज्ञानिक पनि हो त्यस्तो पार्ने सिलसिलामा धेरै कुराहरू आयो अहिले न्युट्रिसनको कुरा पनि आयो होइन मैले भन्दै हुन्थ्यो इट फुड एज मेडिसिन डोन्ट इट मेडिसिन एज फुड होइन मेडिसिनलाई खाना जस्तो नखाउँ खानालाई मेडिसिन जस्तो खाउँ अ हेल्दी माइन्ड इज हेल्दी बडी होइन हेल्दी शरीर मात्र हेल्दी दिमाग हुन्छ दिमाग ठिक भयो मात्र कुरा ठिक गर्न सकिन्छ त्यसैले यो काममा आयोजक सहयोगले के गरिनु भएको छ राम्रो छ तपाईँले सबैको चासो भनेको चिल्ड्रेन आर द फ्युचर होप अफ द नेक्स्ट भविष्यका आशा भनेको केटाकेटी त्यो केटाकेटीहरूलाई ठिक ढङ्गले उहाँहरू भयपन्थी क्षमतालाई पहिचान गरिकन अगाडि जाने काम गर्ने काममा यो एक दिने क्रिया अन्तर्क्रिया के छ अब चाहिँ अझै हुन पनि बाँकी छ सैद्धान्तिक कुराहरू हामीसँग धेरै छ त्यो सिद्धान्तलाई डेलिभरी गर्ने काममा राज्यदेखि
राजनीतिको कार्यक्रम छ बच्चाहरूलाई समग्र रूपमा अन्तर्मुख गरेर आफू भित्र समस्या खोजेर समाधान खोज्ने वृत्ति कसरी जगाउने भन्ने विषयमा आनन्दपूर्ण शिक्षण कला ध्यान योग सहित ध्यान योग प्राणायाम र बुद्धको एजुकेसनलाई पनि जोडेर तालिम हामी संसार दिएका छौँ प्रभावकारी अभिभावकीय कला अभिभावकहरूको लागि 2 दिने कार्यक्रम छ 1 दिने वा 2 दिने हामीले संसार दिएका छौँ आवश्यकता अनुसार करियर काउन्सिलिङ खास गरी बिहामा आई टेस्टको आधारमा मान्छेको मल्टिपल इन्टेलिजेन्सलाई टेस्ट गर्ने पद्धति अमेरिकन वैज्ञानिकहरूले पनि गर्नुभएको छ त्यसमा टेकेर काउन्सिलिङ करियर काउन्सिलिङ र बिहामा टेस्ट गर्ने काम पनि हामी गर्छौँ बहुआयामिक प्रतिभा पहिचान खास गरेर प्रतिभा र व्यक्तित्व लर्निङ स्टाइल लर्निङ वे गभर्मेन्ट रिजुलेसन यी चिजहरू मान्छे जन्मिँदै लिएर आउँदछ भन्ने कुरा खोजिन्छ यो पक्कै पनि हाम्रो हाम्रो बिचमा चाहिँ नयाँ विषय बन्न सक्छ अहिलेको लागि तर त्यस्तो खोजी धेरै पहिला भएको छ विश्वमा यसको प्रवेश गरिरहेको छ नेपालमा भर्खरै सुरुवात हुनेछ साइकोथेरापी हामी केही सेवाहरू दिने गर्छौँ खास गरी केटाकेटीहरूलाई एडल्टलाई साइकोसोसल प्रब्लम आएर उहाँहरूलाई उपचार गर्ने खालको कामहरू पनि हामी गर्दै आएका छौँ आजको विषयवस्तुमा हामी म केही छोटोमा प्रवेश गर्न चाहन्छु त्यसमा एउटा सानो प्रयोग गरेर एकदम छोटो 2-3 मिनटको प्रयोग छ पूर्ण पर्दैन बसेकै ठाउँमा मेडिटेसन अवेरनेसको सानो प्रयोग सबैजना दोषीमा अलिक पछाडि फर्किएर भेसिएर बस्नु भयो भने ढाँसिला छेउतिर आइयो भने चुप्रो परेर ढाडा पनि पिसी राखेर सजिलोसँग बस्नु होला